I'm captain of my chariot, surrounded by angels who flock me in running shoes and cardinal red shirts. I feel like I'm racing and the sky is opening up and I'm flying down the streets of Grand Rapids in a race that started 30 years ago in a small exam room just a few blocks from here. They didn't expect me to survive much past my birth, but here I am, 3 decades later, and I refuse to give in. My condition would have deterred a lot of people who didn't have the crazy, complicated, wonderful, fiercely protective family that I have. I'm Jonathan Peavy. This is my voice. This is my story.
After I gave birth to Jonathan, they took him right away, even before all the procedures were done with me. And I knew that there was something seriously wrong with him. And I wanted to get up off that table and go after him, and I kept getting delayed. I wanted to be able to see my son's face. I didn't know if he was going to live. I didn't know what was going on, but I knew that it was serious. Everybody kept trying to get in my way and to stop me, and I just got off the table and I went off down the hall to find my son so I could meet him and introduce myself to him, because I wasn't able to see him after the delivery.
That's my mom next to me. She's been up since 3 a.m. She's usually up when I am, and unfortunately for her, I'm nocturnal. My dad's the one behind me, pushing me down the street with a worried look on his face. He's done this before, but it takes more out of him than it does me. He works a lot. He's tired, but he wouldn't miss this. This is a big day for me, but it's also a big day for them. I can feel the change of energy. We come around the corner and it looks like a little municipal frontier camp with modern lamps and a lot of quiet activity. I'm getting anxious, but I was born for this. My life started in a race down a hospital corridor, and it's just been uphill from there. This is where most people go to test their strength. This separates the men from the boys, the weak from the strong. It's race day. But one man has tougher challenges than the rest. Me.
According to the UN, 650 million people, or 10% of the world's population, live with disabilities. A number that designates people with disabilities as the world's largest minority.
Well, Jonathan, you know, when you look at neurological conditions, we kind of have broad categories. And one of the broad categories that pediatricians and neurologists use is a cerebral palsy category. Many things plug into a cerebral palsy category. And basically what that cerebral palsy means, if you break the nervous system down into two parts, you have your brain and the nerves that go down your spinal cord. And then from the spinal cord out to the muscle. The brain to spinal cord is what we call an upper motor nerve. From spinal cord out to muscle, we call that a lower motor nerve. And then you have muscle. So there's lots of problems that special needs kids have that involve one of those units.
When I found out Jonathan could possibly have a disability or a handicap, I was just overwhelmingly sad. We didn't know what to think. We didn't know what to do. We didn't have any answers.
When I was a second-year resident here in Grand Rapids, I got to spend time at Ken O'Shea, and I just circumstantially happened to bump into Teresa and Jonathan there. Jonathan was being evaluated for what his educational needs were. I was spending time with a pediatric neurologist and a pediatric developmental specialist there, and the two of them and the staff at Ken O'Shea was looking to say, what are his educational needs? But it was also a bit of a diagnostic evaluation at the time. Why did Jonathan have the problems that he had? And what had shown up early on in Jonathan's evaluation is that there were certain markings in his CAT scan, which back at that time, CAT scan was very rudimentary, and it was not nearly what we think of now with MRIs and CAT scans. But there were little calcifications in his brain that suggested that he had an infection intrauterинely from a parasite called toxoplasmosis. And toxoplasmosis is a parasite that cats carry. You'll see it in sheep and that type of thing. But if a mother has contact with one of those animals early on in pregnancy and contracts toxoplasmosis, little known to her, that can transfer in the first trimester to a child and then cause that child to end up having central nervous system impact of that infection, which it can be devastating.
Symptoms of cerebral palsy include difficulty with fine motor tasks such as writing, poor balance and walking, and involuntary movements. The exact combination of symptoms differs from patient to patient and may vary over time. Some patients also have seizures and intellectual disability. However, this is not always the case.
Because of Jonathan's effect in our own life, we were different. We had different priorities than some young families that are growing up because they're thinking about achieving success. And we were just thinking about enjoying every moment that we had with our kids.
Oh, it's mushy and they can pick up your poop. Then shake them until...
Oh my God, movie star. Typical Larry Docker out of the way. Doggone it, I wanted to get Stephanie carving her pumpkin.
What kind of mouth do you want?
I know how.
You want to draw the mouth?
Breaking out into a sweat again. But isn't he the most adorable?
I feel that for the general community when it comes to Jonathan, I think everybody has a general sympathy for those who are disabled. I really do. But I think people that aren't used dealing with somebody in that situation every day, they tend to, I think, maybe say things that they may be a little bit inappropriate or may stare a little too long. As far as Jonathan being supported, I think it varies, you know. I think just like with anything, if you don't have firsthand experience, it's hard to really gauge a situation.
What was really special about my family, each one of my children have a different personality. Angie was always very quiet, cooperative, wanting to please people. Larry was the joker, kind of a little bit self-absorbed in his own little world. Stephanie was vivacious and determined and stubborn. And that young lady never liked to wear any clothes. She wouldn't let me pick out anything for her, and she would whip off the clothes if she was unhappy with it, and then run down the street, which was a little bit embarrassing. But it became so nonchalant, I'd just say, Larry, go get your sister, please.
Larry, please, I asked you to find her clothes wherever she's left them. Find them and dress her.
I can't catch her.
You can't catch a 7-year-old?
Ow, she bit me.
Did it draw blood?
Well, no.
Then I don't want to hear about it.
She's eating a crayon!
Oh, dear Lord, then take it away.
No, apparently she bites.
Stephanie, come here, little girl. We don't eat wax. Hand it over. Thank you. That wasn't so hard. Ooh, this crayon has tiny tooth marks on it. Would you like this?
No!
Larry, can you get that?
Sure, Mom.
Hello, thank you for calling Burger World. How may I help you?
Oh, Larry, give me the phone.
They hung up.
They'll call back. No, I've got it.
Suit yourself, Mom.
Hello? Really? How strange. Must have misdialed, huh? No burgers here. We all just had leftover corn dogs and chips. Well, how can I help you? Wow, I can't believe she's graduating. A dish to pass? Of course I have time. What do you want me to make? Are kids invited? Well, he is part of the family. I tell you what, it'll be like a drive-through. We'll pull up, wave at the graduate from the car, hand my soon-to-be famous ham and cheese casserole over to you, and get right out of your hair. You won't even have to worry about wheelchair parking. I'm sorry, that was so rude of me. It's just that, well, it's a family event, so that kind of narrows down my options of babysitters. Not that they ever babysat before. I tell you what, Larry will pop over with the 2 older kids and he'll bring it along with him. No, it's fine, I understand. Yeah, you're right, it should definitely be about her. I mean, she is graduating from junior high. Right. Well, they'll be there with bells on. Are you all coming to Jonathan's birthday party next Saturday? I hadn't heard back. Oh, Cancun. Wow. Is it spring break already? Oh, summer break. I guess we missed it. Well, that's just wonderful. I'll let Jonathan know. I'm sure he'll love a postcard.
Cancun! Mom, she's running out half naked again!
Well, go get her. Larry, get your sister. No, sorry. Everything's fine. Just an average day. I should probably go. Right, I'll make sure it's hot. Okay, bye now. And that's lunch. Angie, dress your sister. Larry, get the chair. I've got the dishes. We're going to the park.
Park!
Apparently it's summer break.
Would you like fries with that?
I'm the one who got him first involved with the whole idea and even heard about this concept. I heard of a father-son team doing this and I saw their YouTube video and I absolutely loved it. And it made me cry and I'm like, this is something that Jonathan can do, but I personally can't really push him and I know that my parents can't. I mean, we're just not athletes like that. And so I actually heard about this local nonprofit that actually pushes people and pulls them through athletic endurance events.
And I was like, that is awesome. Why didn't I think of that? But it's so cool, because these people would never, ever get the chance to do this if it wasn't for them.
I think it's really cool that he does the races. It's inspiring to see handicapped people out there doing marathons. You know, pretty proud of them. Out there winning medals and inspiring other disabled people to do what society may say they can't do.
With Jonathan being involved in the races is giving something new to look forward to. Being disabled, you can only do so much, or being as disabled as Jonathan is, you can only do so much. He likes to watch movies and listen to music and hang out with the family and stuff, but this is something that's just Jonathan's. It's nobody else's in the family, and I think that makes him feel extra special, even more special than he already is. So for him to be able to go and do these races, it just, I know it makes his heart happy. And this is when I cry, because this is when I get so emotional. Because it makes him happy. And Jonathan's such a happy person anyways, but this type of happy, not everybody gets to experience. It's like he's free.
Ordinarily, somebody like Jonathan, in Jonathan's position, wouldn't be able to be involved in any kind of sporting event except as a spectator. But now he's a participant, and I think that is just so awesome.
His first race, he started out with a 25K. He's done a full-on marathon. He's done 5Ks. He's even done 10Ks.
Well, a marathon is 26.2 miles long, and it's a big challenge for a lot of people. 26.2 miles is quite the thing. It started out actually 2,500 years ago with Phidippides running a legendary run from Marathon to Athens to announce a victory and supposedly dying at the end. Now, so far we've been really lucky. Nobody's died at the end here, and we're hoping to keep that record intact tomorrow. We have the opportunity to present an event that allows people to set a goal, set a big goal, and accomplish something they could never do before. We have everything I do in life is an adventure, and this is one of the things we've been able to provide people who are never going to have the same opportunities we have, that are never going to be as mobile as we are, to actually come out here and experience the same kind of things that we're experiencing every day. Because when we get these things, we go out there and we create a life for ourselves. We create our being, our person changes when we go out and run a marathon. And so when we get out here and can provide that opportunity for people who are not going to have that, and we actually give them that life-changing experience as well.
So we're on our way to Holland, Massachusetts to interview Rick and Dick Hoyt. Without them, people with disabilities would not be on the race course today. So it's a pretty big deal that we're going to see them today. I mean, it really is a big deal because without them, Jonathan would not be able to be in races. He would not be able to have this experience whatsoever. So it's a pretty cool thing.
Well, we have to blame all this on Rick because it was Rick's idea for us to run in that first road race. Rick was attending a basketball game out in Westfield, Massachusetts, and that's where we used to live. And at the basketball game, they made an announcement that one of the lacrosse players from the college was in an accident. He was paralyzed from the waist down. So they're going to have this charity road race to try to help him raise some money so he could pay his medical bills.
I felt that there was something I had to do. I wanted to show this person that life goes on and he could still lead a productive life. That is why I turned to my dad and said we have to run in this race.
Well, at the time I was 40 years old and I was not a runner. I used to run maybe 3 times a week, a mile each time, just to try to keep my weight down. And that's all we had was a Mulholland wheelchair, which was form-fitted, prescription made to Rick's body. And we had a hard time pushing him in it, never mind running in it. But we went down to the race, and it was a 5-mile race, and the gun went off, and Rick and I took off with all the other runners. Well, everybody thought that Rick and I would just go to the corner and turn around and come back. Well, we didn't. We finished the whole 5 miles coming in, next to last, but not last. And we came across the finish line. The gym teacher's wife took a picture of Rick and I, and Rick had the biggest smile you ever saw in your life. When we got home that night, Rick wrote on his computer, "Dad, when I'm running, it feels like my disability disappears," which was a very powerful message to me. If you think about it, somebody can't talk, use their arms and their legs, and now they're out there running and their disability disappears. He called himself Freebird because now he was free and able to be out there competing and running with everybody else. Well, when Rick was born, they said, forget Rick, put him away, put him in an institution, he's gonna be nothing but a vegetable for the rest of his life. Today he's 50 years old, and we still haven't figured out what kind of vegetable he is. But anyway, on the way home from that doctor's appointment, Rick's mother and I, we cried. But then we talked and we said, no, we're not going to put Rick away. We're going to bring Rick home and bring him up like any other child. And this is what we have done. Rick has been mainstreamed and included all of his life. Today, Rick is 50 years old. He's graduated from public high school. He's graduated from Boston University. He lives all by himself in his own apartment. And Rick and I have now competed in 1,100 athletic events in the past 33 years. What we did is we took day by day with Rick because we didn't know what to expect from day by day, and we just brought Rick up the way that we thought he should have been brought up. And we brought him up like any other child. Rick has two brothers, and we did the same thing with them. And the three of them get along so well, it's unbelievable. You know, when we went to the grocery store or something like that, most people leave Rick home, but we didn't. We included Rick. We brought him down and take a couple extra minutes and stuff. We did a lot of camping with Rick. You know, we go to the swimming pool, and a lot of people around. We'd take Rick and throw him in the pool. And Rick would sink down, he'd look up at you, and he'd start laughing, and then one of his brothers would go get him. You know, they'd bury him in beach sand. They had huts out in the backwoods. They'd take him in the huts. They'd bury him in the pine leaves and stuff like that. Rick has been mountain climbing on top of Mount Monadnock a couple of times. We take him cross-country skiing. We put him in a plastic sled, and I put a rope around my chest, and I tow him. We play ice hockey out here in the lake, and we put him in a sled, and then we put the hockey stick in his hand. But he likes to be goalie, and he takes a sheet of plywood and puts it in front of the goal, so nobody can score the goals. So everything that we've done, Rick has been included, and look what's happened. I'd like to know how many other Ricks there are out there that have never been able to, you know, accomplish what Rick's been able to accomplish.
This is one of the most significant people in our lives. Like my mother, he's saved me. Dr. Hoffman. He's not blood-related family, but he's real family. I mean the kind who sticks with you no matter what. The family that guards you and you them. The ones you can count on every time. Once my family takes you in, you stay in. Dr. Hoffman stayed. He's done so much over the years for so many people that he barely remembers saving a life that some in the medical community felt should have been left to the vultures long ago.
Physicians are given the privilege of being parts of other people's lives. Sometimes we don't realize what a great honor that is. The biggest thing that happens in my career is when a family will make the mistake of saying, tell Uncle Ron, my name is Ron Hoffman, and a lot of times kids call me Dr. Ron, but they'll get this little Freudian slip, and they'll say, tell Uncle Ron about this. Well, what that says is that I have become a part of the family. That's the best compliment I ever get. I've become a part of the Peavy family, and that is, there's nothing better than that.
Whenever we had to leave the house, it was a pretty big production. We had to pack everything up and make sure that we had absolutely everything we could possibly need for every imaginary problem. Once we got out to the car, we had to get Jonathan out of his chair. We didn't have a wheelchair lift. And then we had to break down his wheelchair, which was an awful lot of work, time consuming. And then we had to find a way to pack it into a small trunk. And it wasn't always a pleasant thing. It was stressful, and then you have little children yelling and talking in the background, wanting your attention. Sometimes you're about ready to explode.
I call shotgun.
You always call shotgun.
I get shotgun, guys. Get in the car.
I get Jonathan.
You all get Jonathan.
Yay!
Dad, you're at Larry's lap.
But what if she wets her pants again?
I don't wet my pants anymore. Shut up.
That's enough, guys. Get in the car.
Stephanie, is that my scarf?
Princess.
The dog. The dog. Get the dog.
Mom, please,
get the dog.
It's just for the car ride.
Oh, sure. Why don't we all go? Hate to expect them to stay here and guard anything. Let's all go drop off that casserole. Why should today be any different? Here, let me get this for you. How was the party?
Jonathan was ill one day and we took him to the doctor. I was greatly concerned for him. I could tell that he was pretty sick. And as long as we were in the doctor's office, he went into respiratory arrest. And I'm very glad that we were at the doctor's office because Dr. Hoffman did CPR on Jonathan and called the EMTs. And when the EMTs got there, the question was, what do we do? Do we do nothing? Do we just, kind of approach is how I interpreted their response. And the doctor told them, let's fight for this young man.
Toughest time when we knew things were really going downhill was a few years ago. Jonathan came into my office and he looked awful. His color was terrible. We knew things were not going well, and in the course of conversation, Jonathan actually tried to die in room 1. Now, room 1 of my office it ain't fancy and it ain't big, and Jonathan's in there with his wheelchair, and we had to make a decision. What do we do here? Is this Jonathan's time to say goodbye, or do we make some interventions? And we had a very short conversation. Teresa says, "We're not done yet, Doc." And I says, "We're not done yet."
And how is Master Jonathan today?
You just had a birthday.
He had cake.
Just a little.
Cake, huh? Chocolate? Vanilla? Bud cake?
Chocolate.
Well, our boy is growing up. Chocolate's my favorite.
Mine too. Mine too.
Where's Larry today?
I'm here.
Means your dad. He's on his way. He couldn't get out of work this time, so he's coming on his lunch break. He should be here any minute.
How are things going, Teresa?
Well, he's created his own language, it seems, which we're all learning to understand.
I understand.
I'll bet you do. You're a smart cookie.
Cookie, cookie. I want a cookie. Yuck.
I'll eat them.
No.
Stephanie, there are 2 in there you could share.
Sharing. Yuck.
Young lady. Feeding him still takes a long time, and he can be a bit picky.
Oh, that's a kid for you.
Only I could get peanut butter jelly sandwich into a syringe.
Yum.
That's disgusting.
Or mac and cheese.
More disgusting.
Try using crackers instead of bread in the blender. Add a little milk. PB&J milkshake.
Good idea.
Milkshake.
Good idea.
I love raccoons.
Let's see those teeth you have left. Well, I'm no dentist, but it looks like you've got a case of the crackers.
Probably from all that chocolate.
Something's wrong. Something's wrong!
Hang in there, big guy. What have we got here? Nurse!
What is it?
Call an ambulance right away.
I'm on it.
Hang in there, buddy. We're not gonna lose you this time.
Jonathan, Jonathan, Dad's here now. Listen to me, Jonathan. It'll be okay.
It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right.
It wasn't my time. I knew that. Dr. Hoffman knew that. My parents knew that. There is still so much to do.
Well, the queen bee over there is Teresa, of course. She is the go-to lady. She makes it all happen. But there is an extended family. If things are tough, Larry shows up. Okay, and when there's fear, that Daddy is there, and Daddy's a huge advocate. Dad is always very supportive. He doesn't come in and tell Doc, this is what you got to do or that's what you got to do. But I know when Larry's there, it's more than just a little deal here. It's not just an earache. These are tougher things. So the kids are his biggest fans. His siblings are gentle. They've never been embarrassed about having a brother along that's come in a wheelchair that doesn't look like all the other kids. They've had to give up a lot of other things in their lives because there weren't the time and resources on the part of Mama to be able to go out and cart him to all this, that, and the other thing. I never heard him complain. And they were, along the way, always extremely loving and caring for their brother Jonathan.
I led this story that Stephanie climbed up on the roof and couldn't get down. And so first she was yelling, "Dad, get me." He told her he couldn't come, and so then she called for her brother, Larry, and he couldn't come down. And so finally I said, so Stephanie yelled, "Jonathan, Jonathan, help me, you're my only hope." And he just started cracking up. Just cracking up, laughing. And I thought, oh, how odd that he's responding at that moment, which was the exact right moment to respond, but I didn't know how much he understood of what was happening around him then. And so I thought I led this story somewhere else, and I think I had Stephanie up in a tree, and she got caught, and she couldn't get down, and her dad wouldn't come, and her big brother wouldn't come, and when I said, "Jonathan, Jonathan, help me, you're my only hope," again he cracked up. And I don't know, it was a long telephone conversation, but I had her, several dangerous situations. It was only Jonathan who could help, and every single time when Jonathan, Jonathan, you're my only hope, he would crack up. But I guess I've always told stories And I don't know how it happened, but we were in the house here, just down the street, and I think the telephone rang, and Teresa always answered the telephone, and it was just me, and she said, just watch Jonathan for a second. She ran out to the kitchen, or I don't know. That was when he was in the front room in a kind of large crib. And so then my conversation, which would have been just with Teresa, until Teresa walked out of the room, then I'm in the room with the little boy, so I started telling a story, and I was trying to figure out how old he must have been, because I figured my daughter was about 3 or 4, so Jonathan was 7, 8 when I first started interacting with Jonathan. And probably, you know, we would, at prayer and share times, that kind of thing, she would say, well, Jonathan this, or boy, he really let me know he didn't want that, or, and I didn't know how. I had absolutely no idea how she was communicating with Jonathan. And I only saw him at church situations and didn't have any conversations with him much myself when he was littler like that. But from that day, I really understood more of what Jonathan's capacity was rather than his lack of capacity.
I used to tell my friends all the time how much Jonathan would say to me and the things that he would do, and they would look at me like they were a little tolerant, and yeah, that's a mother's heart for you. And it really wasn't, and it was very frustrating because I could see it and other people couldn't. And there were times throughout Jonathan's life other people got it. They could see, they understood, they knew there was an intelligent young man there, and that was just a blessing to me to have them, to get Jonathan was smart.
Jonathan, when people look at him, they see someone that is basically a vegetable that can't contribute much to society, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. Those who know Jonathan know that he does communicate, know that he has a bright mind, but even if he did not communicate, the weakest among us, even if we're only here to teach others to be a servant and to put others above themselves, that is something that can't be duplicated and we can't do without. So I think that we just need to realize that God has a purpose for everyone, and that our value does not come from necessarily what we contribute to society, but from the fact that we were created in the image of God for His will and His purpose. Well, you know, everybody needs support. We're not intended to be individuals on islands, and for people with disabilities, it's very important to have supportive people that will come around them and treat them as normally as possible.
Our world was pretty isolated, so to have an extended world that I could reach out to ask to come in and watch Jonathan was very limited, both because of my social group, because he was so medically fragile that sometimes I can remember a summer I spent looking out my front door. And that was really, just thinking about it brings tears to my eyes, because I watched life through my front window. And I certainly did come in contact with people that I could ask to watch Jonathan during that years. So it was just extremely hard, because like I said, even today with Jonathan's vent, he's not a difficult kid to take care of. He knows how to control it. He knows how to manipulate it. He's a charming, endearing young man, and if you know him, there's nothing to be afraid of, because Jonathan will save himself.
Next question. No, I'm just kidding. With Jonathan being so medically fragile, it's hard to get support. People are scared of Jonathan. They don't know how to take him. And then on the flip side of that, my mom is very protective of him.
There's been times where it would have been nice if we could have got some support from extended family, neighbors, and it generally doesn't happen. I think Jonathan's just intimidating, and I think it comes to a point where people don't want to offend, or they don't want to stick their nose where they might not think it belongs, or maybe they just don't care.
We had nurses a couple times come in. The government was willing to pay for this, and it did not work out. I'm sorry to say that one of the nurses smoked when Jonathan was on oxygen, and there was really huge issues. Well, there was one time that I was leading a Bible study, and I was bringing Jonathan with me. And it was delicate because there was a lot of people that would be sick there, and it got to the situation in fall that I had to stop. And everybody really, really wanted me to lead this Bible study. And there was a gentleman down the street that was a nurse, and he said, "Oh, let me watch him. I really want to watch him." He watched him 3 different times, and each time when I came home, Jonathan was extremely stressed out, and something was really troubling him. And finally, I addressed it to him one day. I said, "Okay, what's going on here when I'm out? Because when I come home, Jonathan is very upset, and it takes me all day to get him calmed down." And I heard him say, "Jonathan, don't die on me." And I said, "Are you saying that to Jonathan all the time?" And he says, "I sit there and I continuously say as a chant, 'Jonathan, please don't die on me. Wait till your mom gets home, please don't die.'" And I said, "You understand that he understands what you're saying, don't you?" I said, "This is why he's so stressed when I get home." And it just was a very difficult thing for me to have to share the truth with the gentleman that wanted to be a blessing to us.
Hi, I'm so sorry to bother you. I'm calling because my sitter canceled just now and we have to take Jonathan to his appointment today. I know it's last minute, but do you think you could watch the other 3 for a couple hours around 11 o'clock? It's only for a couple of hours.
Ooh, I got bingo at 4.
I'll be gone like 2 hours tops.
Yeah, it sounds a little tight. Yeah, it's just gonna be too much. Keep me in mind though. You know how I love those babies.
Ooh, homework, cheerleading, tanning, super busy. Otherwise, I'd just love to. How are those sweet kids?
I do it, but I'm kind of busy and you know I'm not good with kids. Yeah, I just can't.
It was even hard to get anyone to watch the normal ones. Hey, step right up. Don't be shy. It's time for the PV Family Traveling Circus.
Okay, kids, pack her up. Let's go.
I always saw something in Jonathan in 2 different ways. One is because of a deep faith and belief that every person is an image bearer of God, and that every person comes into this world with God's smile upon him, upon her, and that every person therefore has infinite worth regardless of abilities or lack thereof. And so I saw Jonathan, I will just say from that point of view of faith, as saying this is a special child of God who deserves to be honored and respected as that child of God. So that's what a basic position from which I came. And then of course you meet Jonathan, and Jonathan himself is one of these kids, I like to say, that kind of reach in with a small hand and grab your heart and take hold of it. And Jonathan has ability to do that. His smile, the look in his eyes, the sense of responsiveness he has as people talk to him. If you listen carefully, if you look carefully, you can tell that he receives much more than he is able to articulate back to you. And that sense of what his ability to listen and respond, kind of knowing exactly what you want to say to him is a powerful thing. And so yeah, Jonathan took a hold of my heart just like I think he takes a hold of other people's hearts.
Mostly when I say Jonathan, some people might view him as having a disability. To me, I look at him and I see all of the dreams that he has, all of the chances he has to make a difference in everybody's life around him. With his smile, the way that he interacts with people, he's just like a friend. I mean, you wouldn't not ignore a friend's birthday. You wouldn't not call a friend to say hi or send a birthday card. It's something that's been important to me his whole life.
The nice thing about Jamie, when she came into our lives, that's all she did. She quietly just came into our lives, and she was a friend. And there was no intent other than she wanted to be our friend. And the cool thing is that when you meet somebody that's disabled, you don't always know how to approach them. You're using your words carefully, you're trying not to offend, you're trying to be correct in the things that you say. Jamie, if she was unaware, she'd just ask us, and that was really nice. And she loved Jonathan and this family for just who we are.
Jonathan's racing, seeing him being able to do that has been awesome. I think it's an opportunity that he's wanted and finally got to have come true. Just a few months ago, we had the opportunity. My whole family went down there to see him, and we were running all over trying to find him because we had made it there a couple hours late, and we were going throughout the whole racetrack trying to figure out where he might be, and we were getting ready to leave because we couldn't find him, and we saw the PVs and we stayed around for a little bit longer so we could see him finally come through, and that was an opportunity I'm so glad I didn't miss.
Another thing we would do when we were little is we would play dress up a lot of times. Larry wasn't so much involved because, you know, he was, 9 years older, I think, than I was, and so he was too cool for that. But my sister and I would make Jonathan dress up and play, and we used to just make up stories and I think we used to do clowns a lot and princesses. And we'd get married a lot. Been married a lot. Pink Panther mostly, but you know. Good times. So, he's my man. So anyways.
Oh, hello. Oh, it's nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too.
Oh, what a beautiful day it is outside.
But it's rather hot.
Oh, I'll find you. Beautiful princess. Oh, I brought you guys presents.
Oh, I love presents. Presents. A pen. It's magnificent.
It's the most expensive in the Western Sea.
Larry, you be our king.
No way. Jamie's over, and I'm not your king.
Jonathan can be the king. Yay, Jonathan!
There you go.
Mom, Dad, come out. It's our 5th play. We're almost done rehearsing. I'm going to be the queen. Oh, Stephanie, you can't be queen. You can't be married to your brother. You're a princess like me. Jamie, you can be the queen.
I think it'd be better if I just watched. I'm not much of an actress.
You don't have to act. Just sit there and look beautiful. That's all you have to do. Don't demean the role. Any actress is acting when she is not talking. You wouldn't know that. Shut up. Focus, Steph. Jamie, we need you. Mom, Dad, we're ready.
I've seen you curtsy like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, the king. Oh, queen.
Oh, Jonathan. How are you? That's your daughter.
Hello. Thank you for the lovely gift.
Oh, you're welcome.
It is right on our highest shelf, where everyone can see it with the spotlight. It's magnificent.
Oh my gosh. You guys are beautiful.
Growing up as the youngest, Jonathan being handicapped was just normal to me. I didn't know that you weren't supposed to not have a handicapped brother. It's just the way it was with me. Larry and Angie probably have a different experience because they had a normal, healthy sibling before Jonathan.
Going out in public with Jonathan was always interesting because I would never expect anybody to come out and say anything mean or do anything mean because that's just not my nature. But you know, you'd be really surprised what people actually have the audacity to say right to your face or audible enough that you can actually hear it.
The parents will often say, no, don't do that, and then they'll try to hurry away, when what I really would appreciate if they did is to approach me and to ask questions so that their kids can get the answers that they're seeking, because there's nothing wrong with questions. What's wrong is when we don't ask the questions and we don't allow the answers to be given.
But for me, being the youngest, it's what it is. He's always been there like that. So him not running and playing and always being in a wheelchair was normal for me. And when we'd go out, people would stare at him and wonder, why is he in a wheelchair? What's wrong with him? Why isn't he talking? Things like that. Sometimes it got frustrating because they didn't see him like we did. They just saw the disability, and they only saw the wheelchair, and they only saw the machines and stuff.
Hi, random kid who's staring at my brother who I don't know.
What's his problem?
What's your problem?
I don't have a problem.
Seriously, stop gawking. He's got a big head. His brain is huge.
Why won't he talk?
Well, maybe he's thinking.
What's he thinking about? He's probably wondering why you're staring at him.
Mom, what's wrong with him?
You know, it's okay to say hello.
Hi, my name's Mackenzie. What's his name?
His name is Jonathan.
Kids like him don't need a name.
I hope you can run fast.
Why is he in a wheelchair? Is he okay?
Why don't you take a picture? It'll last longer.
I think he's interesting. He's amazing.
Amazingly weird. I'm gonna punch you in the face. What did I do?
Let's go, Larry.
Let your daddy go run to your daddy. At least I have a daddy.
Larry, get your butt to the car.
Roar! Mom!
It's not always like that. Hard to imagine, but from my chair I felt love, fear, hope, rejection, horrible rejection, and it sometimes comes in the most unlikely places. People are interesting characters, and since I generally sit listening, I know a lot more about people than anyone would think. That's the power of silence. One learns a lot, some of it good and some bad. Really bad. Alas, in spite of our stupid behavior, I still believe that all humans have potential to be good, or simple kindness wins me over.
We used to always play this board game together, and it was just so much fun because, like, my sister and I and my brother, we used to always cheat and try to win. And Jonathan never did, yet he still always won the game. I mean, don't ask me how it happened, but he would always just win the game. I mean, we'd be cheating, taking money and moving stuff around and stuff. I mean, I'm sure he knew this stuff was happening, but he just was having so much fun, he didn't care. And still somehow he was clever enough to figure it out and to overcome that and still beat the game. And we never cheated for him. We never let him cheat because we would obviously move all of his pieces for him. We'd always roll the dice. We'd do everything. But yeah, he would always win.
Jonathan, do you want to buy Richards for $60?
Say no, Jonathan. That property sucks.
Larry.
Sorry, but it does.
Jonathan, do you want to buy it? He wants it.
No, he doesn't. He stuck his tongue out. That means no. Besides, he already has properties in Hancock and in Lincoln. Why would he want to buy Richards?
Fine. Fine.
Angie, did you just sneak money under the board?
No.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
Then let me see.
You're gonna mess up the game!
Hey, I had $200 from selling Rash Co.
No, you didn't. No, I didn't see any $200.
Mom!
Jonathan, did you see $200? Nope.
Mom!
Knock it off or I'll show you all a little game fun.
Larry.
What?
I'm buying Crescent for $260. You only have about 80 there. Yeah, I do.
Mom, do you see this?
Your mom's on the phone.
Dad, do you understand what is happening?
I understand that Jonathan's kicking all your butts, and apparently he's the only one not cheating.
I'm not cheating.
Oh yeah? What's this little gold, Mr. Banker? I'm going to the bathroom and I'm taking my money with me.
Great. Just great.
It's Dr. Hoffman. I was calling with the test results.
What?
So, we'd be at the hospital and, we'd be inside Jonathan's room and a whole group of doctors would be outside congregating. And you know how sometimes you get like the real doctors who've been there for like forever, and then you get the, the interns or the first year students who are just, observing or whatever year they are. And they'd be discussing out there full-on conversations about my brother. And imagine I'm a child, young, but you're still old enough to understand what's going on out there. And I know they're talking crap about my brother and talking about just his quality of life, and they're debating whether or not these procedures are even worth it. And to be able to hear that at such a young age is extremely hurtful, because I'm just like, it's my brother. You're supposed to take care of him. That's why we're here. You're a doctor.
White coats aren't always sensitive to how special children are to their families. There's always an assumption, well, this is a child that doesn't have everything that the other siblings at the Peavy house have going on. And maybe, how should we expend our resources, that type of issue. Teresa is always a champion for Jonathan, making sure every one of his needs got taken care of in a way that was not inappropriate, not over the top, but that made sure that his quality of life was good. And that in the long haul, that he became a very thriving member of a community.
When you're living it, you just keep going, because there's always one thing right after another, and you don't always have time to reflect, because it's not only the things that are going on in Jonathan's life, but the things that are going on in my other children's life. And you just keep plowing through life sometimes, and you miss it in that plowing. And that is one good thing about Jonathan, that he's always made me slow down and remember.
Jonathan, well, it puts faith in action, that's for sure. It's one thing to say you have faith, it's another thing seeing your brother in the hospital room where he flatlines, or he can't breathe, or being hooked up to a machine that's got to breathe for him sometimes. The Lord has taught me a lot of trust, a lot of faith. Faith isn't always seeing, it's believing even when you can't see the end result. And that happens a lot with Jonathan.
you're standing on the edge. Hope feels like a long lost friend, wading through the long night, praying for the daylight. Don't give in, morning's gonna come again. Wrap you up and warm your skin. Sun will soon be rising there on the horizon. So be strong for just a little longer. Hold on to the sun. Splash a little light on everyone. Hold on to the sun. Every single night has a little piece of day, a little piece of day.
I think it's pretty typical for the average person to think, I may have been better off dead.
He has little value. Maybe it's his time. Let him go. People say things sometimes due to a lack of empathy for anyone different, or they don't understand the value of life. It's a lot like squashing a bug, and a lot of sickos like to do that.
Why does it feel so good to crush the life out of someone? Something. It's because that bug's life didn't matter in their eyes, right? The bug's contribution was lost in oblivion to the kid with the blue bug-crushing shoes carrying a big stick. Is that a cat in his backpack? Little did he know that bug had already moved the equivalent of 5 bug-sized loaves of bread, crumbs if you will. It had already fed a family of 30 and was off to find a nice fresh dewdrop to sip on in the cool morning air when BAM! Lights out. Good job, Billy. You're a real genius. Have fun on the playground today when you try to terrorize the ones who can run away. Thank God everyone isn't a Billy, and thank God I'm not a bug. What I'm trying to say is, I want to live. I know I'll see heaven one day, but in the meantime, why would anyone want to leave these people? I'd give up just about anything, and I have, just to be with them.
I have to be very understanding because not everybody's got the moxie of Teresa Peavy. Way too many of us internalize what our children do as a reflection of us. And so success is always paramount on the thing. Our kids have to be that successful. And it's a blow to a lot of families to say, look, I'm going to have a child that won't ever walk and talk. And some families can't do it. A lot of families disintegrate. Parents go their separate ways.
I've always loved my life, but right now, it's really up to me to continue to make it better, more challenging, more fun, more real. Angie got my parents to let me race, and racing made me a man. Am I looking forward to heaven? You bet. In the meantime, I'll stick to marathons.
You know, there's a Bible verse that reminds me of Jonathan. It's where one of Jesus' disciples asked Jesus about a man born blind who sinned, him or his parents. And Jesus said that neither this man nor his parents sinned to cause him to be born blind, but that it was done so that the work of God could be seen in his life. And I think that just screams Jonathan. I've seen more miracles and last-minute saves and testings of faith than I could deal with in a lifetime.
Growing in my own faith of Christianity, I know that we are all made in His image. I also know that we are all broken, some more than others, but not for that reason. So that we may be humble and we'll get to know Him. Some believe that the disabled are meant to be healed. or they live with the sickness because of something they've done. But I have yet to find a biblical teaching to substantiate this. Initially, in the Bible, Moses refuses to lead the people out of Egypt because of a speech impediment. God's response was to provide for him. So Moses will speak to Aaron, and Aaron will speak to the people for him. In another example of religious text, Prophet Muhammad was rebuked by Allah because he ignored a blind man who had interrupted him. And a rabbi recently said, "We are incomplete as long as people with disabilities cannot come. This congregation needs these people. It's not a house of God if everyone cannot come and worship." See, all human life is finite. Everyone must die. Yet, we're all here, each and every one of us. We all have quality and a reason to be here. We each have value.
Just remember there are angels around us every day. They may be in this room at this very moment. They do things behind the scenes, not asking for credit, but their pay is the feeling, the joy they get from sharing their gifts with others who can really use them. When I'm racing, these angels surround me. That's part of my story. It's for all of us who do something that turns us into heroes for a moment in time. Maybe you're an angel. Maybe you could be. Either way, here I am and here I'll stay as long as the good Lord will let me. Paul Turgott, a Kenyan professional marathoner, once said, "Ask yourself, can I give more?" The answer is usually yes. Thank God for the people who say yes. You are all angels to me.
First sunrise to the last nightfall, I'll be there anytime you call. Anytime you call, I'll be there to comfort you. Every twist and turn on your road, you will always have a hand to hold. Always have a hand to hold on to. Just reach out when you feel forsaken, even when you feel it breaking. I won't let this world steal your heart from you. 'Cause I believe without a doubt, being there's what love's all about. And you'll always have a hand to hold on to. Just reach out when you feel forsaken, even when you feel it breaking. I won't let this world steal your heart from you. 'Cause I believe without a doubt, being there's what love's all about. And you'll always have a hand to hold on to. You always have a hand to hold on to. that's caught in your throat. You failed, you can't breathe. Yourself, you can't breathe. Your heart is empty. You failed your family. Ooh, love, you cannot run the sun. You cannot run the sun. You cannot run this. Ooh, love, you cannot run the sun. You cannot run the sun. You can't outrun this sun. Your heart's condition, your life's a mission, a contradiction. Your truth, your fiction, your head is not right. You came but won't fight. I've watched you all night. I've watched your whole life. Ooh, love, you cannot run the sun. You cannot run the sun. You cannot run this. Ooh, love, you cannot run the sun. You cannot run the sun. You can't outrun this sun. Future is ours.